I'm getting all my stuff together. And here we are. Let's see. Oh, wait, we're not there yet. Where are we? Where am I?
I can't help you.
Here I am. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is my guest today, Wayne Brasel. Wow.
Jeff Luger on drums.
Hi.
Bravo Dahl on piano. Neil Stovine on bass. I'm Wayne Brasel. We'd like to take a short break. And
Wow. I just realized who that was on drums. Oh my God.
I was waiting to see if you recognized it.
Oh my God. You know, I was thinking, wow, that drummer is really good. And then, then I saw him. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Wayne Brasel, and he and I worked together here in LA, and then he moved. Well, actually, I guess we both went to Austria and worked at the school in Austria together. And Jeff was there, the drummer. And then Wayne stayed over with his wife in Norway, and he's been there ever since. But Jeff Boudreau, man. Wow, he sounds great. Oh, you all sound great. I mean, listening to you, I immediately got back into wanting to sing with you, you know? It was like, oh yeah. Man, that sounded so good. And so who was the band?
Well, it's Jeff and I have just kept in touch, you know, since he moved to Paris and I moved up here. And actually we just did a recording a couple years ago in Paris that hopefully will be done this year. And the quartet was kind of similar to that one. The piano player is a former student of mine from Norway here, Norvald Dahl. Really nice piano player.
What is his name?
Norvald Dahl.
Norvald Dahl. He sounded great.
Yeah, he's really good.
Everybody sounded great. And the bass player?
Yeah. The bass player was I think a student from the school up. This was up north in Bergen, and I think he was a student there at the school there. I actually can't remember his name, but because this is probably
a long time ago.
Maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
His name is Niels Henrik Sagavag.
There you go. That's his name. Sorry, Niels. Like I said, that's fairly old clip. There's there's a bunch of new ones on my Facebook page, so I'll have to get those on YouTube so you can check those out. Okay,
great. Yeah.
So
yeah. Wow. Yeah. My friend, I have several friends who are on here. TJ Hudson, who's a trumpet player. Now you know who the bass player is, TJ. And Atmara Ruiz, who is a brilliant piano player. And he said sounds great. Then I have other people. Hi, Norma Jean and everybody. So wow.
Yeah.
Wayne Brasel. This is partly why I like doing this, because I get to talk to my friends for 2 hours who I haven't talked to in I don't know how long.
Yeah, we did a gig in LA, I remember once when I was back. I think that's the last time I saw you, probably. We played together in some cafe.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
Doug, Doug and Steve Billman, I think. Was it?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Doug Billman?
Doug Matthews on drums.
That
And
must have been, oh, yeah. It was you chose the band, right?
yeah, I guess, yeah. Well, they're friends.
Yeah, because, and Steve Billman, I know, because we worked together at LA Music Academy, or LA College of Music, now it's called. That's the school that came out of MI with the two European guys. Remember that?
Oh yeah, okay. I think I heard about that.
Yeah, so there was MI, and then two of the students who were from Germany, maybe, and they started Llama. It was called Llama, LA Music Academy, I think. And then, they got all their teaching credit stuff together, and so now they call it LA College of Music, and it's actually half owned, I think, by the same guy who owns MI, the Japanese guy. But it's just a much smaller, more handleable school to go to than MI. If I was a young student, I would go there because it's a lot smaller and you just get a lot more hands-on.
Yeah. Is it out in Pasadena?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've heard of it. I've never been there, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You probably know some people, from the old days who are teaching there.
Yeah.
Steve Billman,
Steve Billman, exactly.
Yeah. So, wow. So let's see. Let me think of where to start. It's kind of hard because we kind of came up together a little bit. So you're from California, correct?
Yeah. Grew up in Northern California. Yeah.
What part?
Sacramento.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I went to I moved to San Francisco to go to school for a year.
Yeah.
And then I had some friends from Sacramento that were coming down to go to school at Northridge.
Oh.
And they sort of invited me to come with them. We were going to move into the same apartment complex. And I don't know if you know Larry Lynetta, the trumpet player, Larry Lynetta.
I don't think so.
Okay. It was 3 or 4 other guys from Sacramento who were going to come down and go to school, go to the jazz department in Northridge. So I just left San Francisco and joined them and ended up going there and got a degree in classical guitar and jazz. So they didn't have jazz degrees, but at Northridge. So, and that was great. That was a great place to be. And it was, when you were done with school, you were already working in town and you were getting to know everybody. And so it was really a practical thing to do.
Yeah. How long were you here?
In LA?
Yeah.
Yeah. I left in 1990. Yeah.
And so was that about 10 years or something, or 13 years you were here?
Yeah, because I got there, I moved there in 76, 77, around there.
Okay. Oh boy.
About 13 years. Yeah.
I actually got here around the same time. I think I moved here at the end of 75.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, did we play at the $2 bills together?
I think so.
The famed $2 bills.
It's like I'm picturing, okay, the place on Riverside, and then there's the place on Ventura, and there's it's like the names of the place I don't remember, but it's like,
well, the $2 bills was, I'm pretty sure we played there. It was in Hollywood on Franklin and Gower, near Gower.
Yeah, okay.
And it was it was really a nice room with a raised stage, and there was kind of a bar, and a lot of people played there. Even Chick played there. I mean, yeah, it was a really nice room. I'm pretty sure you and I played there. I had a Tuesday night gig there for like 2 years, and I played with all kinds of strange conglomerations because the gig paid $5 and a meal to anyone who showed up. So I had some weird groups. I had one time I had trumpet and drums. Oh man.
Yeah, that's the question that you would get in, doing gigs in Austria or Germany. And they say, well, what would you make on this gig, in LA? And I'm thinking, yeah,
$5.
So don't tell anybody, but yeah, she played some cheap gigs there. But that's, that was the genius thing of that time is you could get on the bandstand with just some great musicians.
It's
And
true.
that was the whole point of it, at that point, was playing great music, and nobody was getting rich at that point.
Yeah, and that was also the time when there were weddings and like an abundance of other type of work that
Right.
so you worked 8 gigs a week or something, and so that made it a little, I don't know, the balance of the artsy gig was important to have and fun.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also that was a time period that a lot of us were doing original music.
Mm-hmm.
I think about that sometimes. People are doing original music now, but it was just, there was something different about that time. It was a long time ago, in the 70s,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but we're still making $5 sometimes. That's still happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. It's you've been in it long enough to know that the whole point of doing that gig every week, having that weekly gig, is it keeps the music going.
Yeah.
It keeps all those ideas coming, and it keeps your original music coming all the time.
Yeah.
It's such a catalyst for everything else.
Yeah.
It seems like, your time at home when you're rehearsing or working on other things is just 10 times as good.
Yeah.
Because it's all centered around that one gig, where that stuff maybe is going to come out, or it's more of this process that's really good to be a part of.
Yeah, definitely.
And really,
Yeah, that's so true. And, a lot of times people, because I was always good at PR for some reason, I always went, put out stuff, right? People always thought I was, terribly busy, but I was consistent and I was what you said, I was always creating a gig and doing a gig and then PRing it. But the consistency was just that was just crucial. It was crucial. I try and get I feel bad for my students now because you really have to create something, because there's, there are some gigs that are happening for higher level people, no matter even if it does pay $5. Right. And then you got to go and find a place and create the gig and then find a player,
Yeah.
So it's hard now.
Yeah. But that's true. I tell my students the same thing, that you have to go make the gigs yourself. Go out and find a place, go out and find someone that'll take a chance on you playing there. And, the important, yeah, sure, maybe you're going to make some money here and there, but the main thing is to go out and make those gigs happen yourself, not to wait around.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's like the real growth, Yeah, and there's on so many different levels too.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay? My son came in and he said he couldn't hear me.
Oh, really? I can hear you fine. If anybody has trouble hearing Wayne, let me know. But I can hear you fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I was I was just thinking, so Wayne and I played together in LA, and we played together a good amount. And and then you must have gone to Austria first, and then, because when I got there, the night I got there, I came and sang with you at that Raskeller or something. Yeah.
See, that was a regular gig too. That we had a regular Wednesday night gig there at a place called Jazz Spelunka.
Ah, Spelunka, yes.
Great club. Yeah. It was the perfect size, and it was you had tons of people that just dropped in, musicians and other people that just were sort of, they just like coming there.
Yeah.
You know, always had a nice audience, and then musicians would drop in and sit in. So so Jeff and I played there just about every week, and it was a great club. But I look back, and I think it was all that lady who had the club, and she said, "Yeah, I want to have jazz here every week, you know, and we'll do the best. We'll pay you what we can. We'll feed you." And again, it was, you know, there were other gigs that came out of that, and we were touring and stuff, but there was always that gig, you know, that steady gig. Man, that was everything.
That's great. Yeah. So what we're talking about is a place we taught at a school called AIM, American Institute of Music, which Les Wise, guitar player, and his wife Linda started, and they kind of took the role model from Musicians Institute, MI, which was in Hollywood now, which started out as GIT, Guitar Institute of Technology, which Les was, I guess he was a teacher at.
Yeah.
And then it changed to MI. And anyway, so Les, who's a real character, he had this school, and he involved it's the same. So Musicians Institute, basically the idea of it was to get professional musicians who were really working out there to teach in these schools. And you know, it's a good model, right? Obviously, MI is still going strong. So Les asked me to come out and open the jazz vocal department, you know. And so I came out, and like I said, the first night I was there, Les brought me into Spelunky, and Wayne was playing, and I sat in, and Wayne and Jeff, yeah. I forget who the bass player was. Was it the crazy guy?
He was probably Uli Langthaler. He was an Austrian guy that played with us most of the time in the trio.
Okay, I remember while I was there, I was friends with, I'm sure you played with him, kind of like a Jocko guy. His name was Bob.
Yeah, Bob R.
Yeah, Bob R, right.
In fact, I have a video of us playing. Maybe I could send it to you.
Oh my God, I'd love to see it.
Frankfurt.
Oh my God.
And Bob R. and Jeff, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I wrote a song about him, actually. He was a real trip.
He was great. He was fun to play with, yeah.
I had, just an aside, I had an apartment in the school, like on the bottom floor of the school, there was an apartment. So I had that apartment, and, you know, like I would wake up to all the students hanging out in the courtyard, you know. Those were good days. And then Leela's still there, Leela Thigpen, right? So when I left, I turned Leela Thigpen on to my gig, and yeah, she's still there.
Yeah, I ran into her last time I was in Vienna just by coincidence.
Really?
I got on the train, and she was on the train. That was so fun.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we talked a bit. Yeah, caught up a little bit. That was a while ago. Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. So yeah, so you moved, well, did you move to Austria because of that gig, basically? Was that why you went?
Yeah, I did, actually. Well, sort of a few different things, but, you know, Les called me out of the blue. I didn't know him at all.
Oh.
And made me this offer. This sounded like a great offer. It just happened to be that my wife was like 3 months pregnant at the time. And we both thought,
Norway.
Wow. Yeah. And we thought, wow, this might be a great chance to, you know, she could quit working, and, you know, she could have the baby, and I could be teaching at the school, and we could be living in Vienna. You know, let's go for it. Let's see what happens. You know, I'd been in LA long enough, and I liked it there and stuff, but it was exciting to think of trying something new. and so we just went for it. We had no idea how it would turn out. And it turned out great because I ended up, teaching, but all the rest of my time was doing, my own music. And I ended up playing a lot more gigs of my own music and touring with other jazz people and stuff. And so it was like a super win situation for me.
Yeah.
There weren't any more studio gigs or casuals, but that was okay. I mean, studio work was fun and stuff, but it's still, that wasn't as fun as going out and playing your own music. And yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, yeah.
Do people play weddings there in Europe?
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
But it's kind of it seems like it's more separated. Like the people that play weddings aren't necessarily always jazz musicians. They're sort of wedding musicians, sort of that sort of thing. They don't really need high ability to improvise or other things like that. Yeah,
they're not jazz musicians looking to get paid.
And that's that was I still think it's that was one of the hardest things to get used to when I moved from LA, that you just get used to there being so many gigs, so many musicians, so many places to play, and suddenly you're in a place where that's not like that anymore, and it really surprises you because you think, oh, we'll just make a gig here, we could do a gig here and do a gig there, and there's not that many gigs. There's not that many musicians now, and there aren't that many gigs, and there aren't that many places to play. And so that was interesting. I think I was spoiled by LA, really.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah,
I just figure you get good musicians, you go play, everyone's going to show up, like they do in LA, right?
Yeah.
You get some good musicians, you play somewhere, everybody shows up because everybody wants to hear good musicians,
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like that everywhere. You just don't, you have this huge audience in LA, that that can go to gigs, but you go around the world and the audience gets smaller and smaller. So there's maybe not so many people to go around.
Yeah, that's interesting. So is it basically the same to go and get a gig? But you probably work more festivals too, right?
Yeah.
In Europe.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you try to get those festival gigs. Those are probably the best ones you can get. But then at that point, you're also in pretty big competition, because at that festival, Pat Metheny's playing too, and, and yeah, I mean, people that are out there doing music, 100% of the time, touring 100% of the time, those are mostly the people that are playing those festivals and that you're sort of in competition with. So it's tricky. You got to sort of find your way through that, where you want to play at that level, but at the same time, if you're not out there touring all the time, if that's not your main profession, then it's not always as you can't always compete. So,
well, it makes me think of let's see. Well, it was 20 years ago because it was when I first met my husband. So at that time, the internet was not new, I mean, it was this much of what it is today. Yeah. And what I would do for a tour in Europe I would get on the phone, I'd hook up something that usually entailed a workshop and a gig, and some putting me up, but not paying really for my transportation particularly. And then building from there, and then sending out like real packages,
Yeah.
And sorry, my gardener's here. So sending out real packages and lots of paper,
Right.
sending them out and building a tour.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was, I mean, I remember some of the places that I played, they were interesting and strange, you know, like a restaurant, or I remember in the Black Forest, in the middle of the Black Forest, there was a jazz room.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know that place?
No, but I know, I remember being surprised as well in Germany and Austria and Switzerland. You find these little towns, and we book a gig there, some little club, and it would be packed because that was the jazz club, and everybody came out, and those were such, because the audience was totally into it.
Totally.
Great audiences in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I always loved that about Europe and back. I mean, this was back in the 90s, I guess, when we were touring more.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. I really thought that was cool.
Yeah. Now I'm hearing you a little less. So
okay.
You could move your mic over or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't be shy.
How about that?
Ooh,
Is that better?
Yeah, that sounds like radio.
Okay.
But I don't.
We'll go with that.
You don't have to like. You can sit back and relax. Oh, Danny Flayhive is watching. Hi, Danny. And Meta. Hi, Meta.
she's upstairs.
Oh, hi. How are you? Now, I remember your daughter, Agneta, has my birthday.
That's right. You guys have the same birthday. Yeah.
You don't forget stuff like that, you know.
No, I know.
I want to go and now you said on your Facebook that I could find.
Yeah, if you go to my Facebook page, and then there's like an artist. It's like the Wayne Brasel artist page of Facebook. I'm sure you probably.
Okay, so this one?
I think that's my regular. That's like my regular.
Wayne Brasel, guitarist?
Yeah, that one. Check that out. There should be some there were some more recent videos on there.
Cool.
Oh, and we have to talk about my book because that just came out.
Absolutely. Let's talk about it right now.
Okay. My new book. There it is.
Well, here's a preview of it. Wait. Okay, let's watch the preview.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Blues.
Yeah.
Oh, is this something you made up? You wrote for this?
Yeah. These are all exercises.
Okay. All right. So basically, that's what this video is, right? It's just showing. Yeah. So
That's what's in the book. The idea was that, it's, as when I was in school, we were studying basically bebop, stuff, learning all that and learning to improvise and stuff. But today, when students come and they want to play jazz, they really have to have the whole package. It's not just bebop anymore. It's if you listen to Schofield or you listen to a lot of the top guys out there, they're mixing all this stuff together. Mm-hmm. They maybe have a blues background. They maybe have played rock. They maybe have, played bebop as well. So anyone coming into this sort of has to have a foundation of those things already going into it, if they're gonna, gonna understand what Rosenwinkel is doing.
Hold on.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so I see the students, that are coming into the university to study with me, they sort of have to have all that stuff down already. And the blues stuff for articulation, and the bebop stuff for phrasing and playing lines and stuff, and the rock stuff, for more of that whole approach, and then mixing all that stuff together, the way the guys do. So this book was made sort of to take the level of maybe a high school student and say, okay, if you want to go to the next level, which would maybe be university around there,
Yeah.
these are the things you have to basically have together. You have to be able to do this stuff,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
some level. Yeah. So that's so the book's been out there since May on Apple Books, and it's it's examples, and it's audio files where you can listen to it and play along, and explanations of what I'm doing and different concepts and stuff.
Did you publish it yourself?
So, yeah, I published it through Apple Books, and now it's coming out, I think, next week on Amazon as well. So you should be able to get it anywhere.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, are you, and you're teaching now too, right?
Yeah, that's actually a full-time gig. I teach at the university. So I teach, I'm the jazz guitar teacher. So we have like a 4-year bachelor program and a 2-year master's program after that. So yeah, lots of great students. And like it is in most places in Europe, we get maybe 20, 25 people audition, and you take in maybe 3 or 4. So it's pretty competitive just to get in.
Cool.
Yeah, so the level is pretty high.
Yeah. I'm sorry, where did you say it is?
In Stavanger. It's the University of Stavanger.
That's Norway, right?
Which is like, on the southwest coast of Norway. Yeah.
I know you're going to laugh at me, but I need to look at a map.
You're not the only one. You're not the only one.
I need to know what the
I know.
hell, it's like, okay, so here's Norway.
I only know because I live here.
And, so, oh, wow, Norway is such an odd shape.
It is. It's long.
Wow. That's so interesting. I'd have to look at history to see, why it ended up like that, and just to get an idea. Wow, it's pretty far north, so you're cold when you're cold, right?
Well, not on the coast, because we have sort of a what do you call that? It keeps it pretty temperate, actually, in the winter here.
Oh,
So you do get some really cold north winds, but we don't get that much snow in the winter. Maybe 1 or 2 weeks
yeah.
tops, and then it melts away. So I mean, it's not California, but it's it's not bitterly cold the way it used to get in Vienna. Some winters it used to get super cold there.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so here's Copenhagen. Okay.
right,
And then, so that's where my friend Sinna is. And
Yeah.
here's Stockholm. And
Stockholm, yeah.
yeah, I had an idea that I knew Norway was more north, but I thought Sweden actually was more south.
Oh yeah.
I guess part of it is, but so where do you live?
Just on the west coast. If you see Oslo there,
Yes.
and you just go west from Oslo
Yeah.
toward the coast, it's over there.
Oh, okay.
I don't really see it on the map. I guess if
No,
you got closer, you'd see Stavanger, but it's over there somewhere.
yeah. Let's see. Stavanger. Maybe we could see. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, you
Stavanger.
see it? Oh yeah, okay, there it is.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Boy,
there you
that's
go.
really pretty.
Yeah, it is. Oh yeah, it's beautiful here.
Hey,
I
I was
should book you a gig.
yeah, let's do it. I was really sorry to miss your birthday party.
Yeah, that's right. That was a great party.
It was when you were 60? Was that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
was a great party.
what a great idea to invite everybody to come.
That was really fun.
Did a lot of people come from the States?
No, not so much. Mostly just musicians locally and family, and but we had a band and we played a bunch of old songs, bunch of old blues songs, and then my kids surprised me with some musical numbers that they had they had rehearsed that I didn't know about. of a whole medley of songs that I used to sing to them. So it was hilarious.
Oh, good.
It was really fun.
Oh,
Yeah, it was great.
I was really sorry to miss miss that.
Yeah.
I really thought about that. I was like,
Yeah.
I'd like to go.
Uh,
Yeah, well, if we ever, get back to, somewhat normal with
Yeah.
borders not being closed and stuff. Are your borders closed now?
I don't think they are now. They were at some point, but
Yeah.
I mean, I can go back and forth. You'd probably have to check and see if you can, but
Yeah.
it's opening up now. It's getting better. So hopefully it'll just keep going that way.
How was the last few years there?
Well, I mean, it didn't really affect me that much because we kept teaching basically the same. We were doing some Zoom teaching, but it was mostly the same at school.
Oh.
So
the COVID wasn't rampant there, or?
Well, I mean, it's just such a small country.
Yeah.
I think they've had like 900 deaths total in the whole country. So it's been milder here. It's been up and down, sort of the same as everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just such a there's only 5-6 million people in the country, so
Right.
and a lot of them live really far apart from each other. so if you don't have it, you don't give it, so
Right.
so I don't know. It seems to me it's been fairly mild, but yeah.
That's good.
But,
Yeah. Were you going to say something?
no, I just the worst person hit in our family was my son who does the musicals, because they were shutting down the theaters. And
Oh.
we felt so bad for him because they were playing for audience of 30 people in a place that holds maybe 1,500 or something.
Yeah.
So
What?
that was a drag.
I'm just curious. I'm going to go listen to you here, but this is a student. Is this a guitar? How many guitar players can play a song?
that was 1 year. That was a guitar ensemble I had at school, and
Oh.
we were doing the music of Stephen Reich.
Really?
I don't know if you've heard it, but he's, Pat Metheny did a piece of his recorded. Was, I guess, written for Pat, and we did that. And then he's written some really cool music for electric instruments and guitars. And he was visiting as part of a classical chamber music festival or something. So we rehearsed his pieces, and then he came. It was funny because he showed up. And
Wow.
I said, okay, they're all ready, and I gave him the baton, and he says, I'm not directing. I said, no. And he says, no, I'm going to listen to the audience. I was like, what? I have to conduct this, So it was hilarious. We had rehearsed so much, it went fine and everything, but it kind of caught me as a surprise.
I have to
I'm just gonna listen to it.
I have to play one. I was in New York a few years ago, and I was walking around, and Juilliard students were having like a free concert, and
Yeah.
I went in, and there was a few Steve Reich pieces, and wow, it was pretty intense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those are some of my students.
Cool. So this is
Playing
not
bluegrass.
the right one. Okay, so
No.
let's see, where did I get that from? Oh, I was going down here.
Oh, you were going there. Oh, those are links to some of my former students.
Oh, okay. So does
Oh, you can't hear that.
you
No.
can't? Oh, okay.
No, that's just a picture of us playing it.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more clip. It looks like you're playing, and this is more recent, right?
Yeah, this is more recent.
Okay, let's go here.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. It's a new piece.
Oh, wow. Sorry, let me cancel and then get out of here and talk to you. Wow. You sound so great.
Yeah, that's a nice clip. Yeah.
And you sound great. The band sounds great. But you can tell, I can feel like you're the leader, and you're leading, and they're really there and supporting, but you're sounding really, really great.
Thanks.
Yeah, Wayne. Yeah. By the way, David Diggs is here and he says hi.
David. Talk about great sessions. Dave was responsible for some great sessions.
Yeah, Dave.
Great fond memories of Dave. Yeah.
He was on the show.
Yeah.
And we showed pictures of him and me and Ron Peters, when it was like 1975 or 6. And it was our first group here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God, we looked hysterical. It was really dated, But anyway, but now all of us we all basically look the same, except we have gray hair. But
yeah, very similar. That's true. Yeah. Not a big change.
Your sound, I mean, you've always you were a great player back when you were here too, and but you really sound so good. You sound so what's the word? Just present. You're totally present, and it's really. I don't want to make you blush, but you're sounding fantastic. It's really good.
Wow, thanks. That's a huge compliment because I know you've played with all the best. You played with ridiculously good guitar players.
I mean, guitar players.
How good. You played with, so like I was glad to get those gigs that Ted Green didn't want to do. It's when I think of all the people you played with, I think, geez, that was I'm happy to be a part of that gang. There's some great people in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I love guitar, so
Yeah, yeah.
guitar is like, yeah, definitely a beautiful thing.
Yeah, practical too.
Practical.
There's no piano.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't, pretty easy.
Yeah.
So, let's see, what did you have guitar mentors, either live or dead? I mean, did you like listen to somebody a lot to get to that
Yeah.
so to you?
It's really hard because I fell in love with so many different kinds of music,
Yeah.
and especially in LA when you were playing sessions, you would listen to guys that were perfect for that kind of music, and you would think, oh man, that's exactly the right
Yes.
sound and approach for that music. I was really amazed at the guys that some guys that certain kinds of music, but I mean, like in high school, yeah, there was, I mean, times when it was also new to us, but we were close enough to San Francisco where we could go down and we could hear, Pat Martino play at the Keystone Corner, and then I'm just totally stuck on Pat, for like a year. I'm buying every record, and I'm I'm just totally into his sound, and I mean his technique, of course, great, but his sound, like on those ballad records he did, just
Yeah.
killed me. And I
Yeah.
think that was a huge influence,
Yeah.
when he plays so soulful on those records. And I took a lesson from him in LA when I was down there, and he was he was just so sweet. We
Mhm.
had such a great time, and then I met him again here. He did a gig in Stavanger a couple years ago, so it was nice to
Oh,
meet him again and
wow.
hang
Wow,
out
that's
with him a little
nice.
bit.
I'm actually going to see him play October 1st or something like that.
Oh, great!
Yeah, and it's with his trio.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
I'm
It
really
seems to
looking
be.
forward to seeing that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was, when I saw him in San Francisco. It was before the problem he had with his losing his memory and everything, and forgetting how to play the guitar and stuff.
Wait a minute.
So
Are
he
we
was,
talking about Pat Martino?
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were
Oh
talking about
no.
Pat Metheny.
Oh, Matheny. Yeah. No,
Oh, sorry. I
no.
got that last name mixed up. Okay, so
Yeah.
Pat Martino. Okay, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
that was all Pat. I mean, Matheny, of course, too. I mean, a huge influence, of course. I saw him with Ralph Towner in San Francisco at a concert at the Great American Music Hall. Is
Yeah.
that what it was called, I think?
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and Pat was playing with Gary Burton,
Yeah.
and Ralph was playing with organ. So that was, again,
Yeah.
huge influence,
Yeah.
you know.
So good.
But I was 19 and Pat was probably 20 or 21 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just looked so young. I was like, geez, yeah, he's got it all happening.
Yeah. But Pat
Yeah,
Martino,
yeah,
another like awesome, awesome. So you were saying that
yeah.
you were really you really soaked in Pat Martino too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was before. I hadn't heard Matheny, I think, probably till then. So the earliest influences were Pat Martino, um, Kenny Burrell, just because it was so soulful. And when I was in Sacramento, I got to do a concert with Joe Pass.
Oh.
Um, he was playing with a big band that I was playing with, and yeah, he was a big influence as well. But I was just overwhelmed by his virtuosity. The fact that he could just sit down with a guitar and just do so much. It just blew me away. I was like trying to play, single lines, and he was doing everything. And so effortlessly, it was just all so effortlessly.
That's the weird thing about guitar,
Yeah.
because guitar players are really Okay, so this is my my weird perception.
Yeah.
There is guitar land
Yeah.
that all guitar players live in,
Right.
but each guitar player has a really unique point of view.
Yeah.
So they're all communicating about the guitar in the same way, except from from their point of view. That's really different. That's like,
Yeah.
some people are great single lines. Ted Green, I mean, he was,
Yeah.
an example,
Yeah.
of somebody who thought very uniquely.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm fascinated with guitar players. My friend Roland Askerons, who actually used to come to the $2 bills a lot.
Oh yeah.
He's actually a guitar player. He doesn't really play anymore, but he I always forget how many. He has like something like 13 guitars in his room, But
Is that all?
yeah. So did you have any oh yes. Actually, Roland, you must have joined a little late because he does have classical guitar training.
Yeah.
Because he went to Northridge, Cal State Northridge, and at the time that was the degree, right?
Right. Yeah, that's all you could get. You had to get a degree in classical guitar, and then while you were there, you could play in the big band and study bebop and study what else we had. I mean, there were a lot of great classes, but there was no real jazz diploma.
Yeah.
So, which was, in the end, win-win for me, because to be able to play all that great classical music, and I use it all the time with my students, because I say, you have to go up on stage by yourself and play for an audience. And if you can do that, you're going to be twice as good when you play with the band. But you have to be able to deal with that, just go up by yourself, play. And that was, that was the great thing about playing classical guitar, because that was the whole gig, you go up by yourself, play a piece.
Yeah.
Play some music. It's just you.
That's
the drummer's not going to save you.
Yeah, right. That's really smart advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a good thing, I think.
So yeah, let's see, wait a minute. Where did I wanted to ask you, I'm just thinking about guitar. I don't know why I'm trying to think of other guitar players. There's a million of them. So,
I know.
Fabulous. Yeah, so I'm curious too to know, was there a moment in time when you got really excited and you had like a realization, like, oh my God, this is what I want to do, like, guitar or jazz guitar, or recognizing somebody like Pat Martino or Pat Metheny and going, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Did you have a few moments like that when you were coming up?
From the beginning, I always just wanted to play guitar.
Really?
Yeah. And I just wanted to do that. And I wasn't really that concerned with style at the beginning, because, I'd hear the Allman Brothers and I'd want to play like Dwayne, Allman.
Yeah.
I think, geez, I want to play like that.
Yeah.
I want to be in the Allman Brothers. And I heard Fleetwood Mac and I want to be in Fleetwood Mac. That's what I want to do. And I know it didn't make any sense, but that's basically what I was feeling,
Yeah.
And I just thought, if I just keep working at it, at some point I'll end up somewhere where I'm doing that, where I'm just playing music, and I'll figure out along the way what it's going to be, what that music is going to be. And I think that's a lot of what was LA too, because you get called for whatever, and you got to try out all those different styles and see, how you liked it and stuff. And you just get pushed in one direction, another direction, and you find certain things that you just don't like at all. And then you find other things that, like, yeah, I really like that. Like the whole Latin thing, we didn't, the only Latin thing we had growing up was sort of Santana, which was great. But in LA, there was so much great Latin music.
Real Latin, yeah.
And you did a lot of it, in your music too. You did a lot of chicks music and stuff. So that was a new thing, I think, for me in LA. learning all that stuff and so many things.
At that time, there was a kind of a little, sorry.
No.
At that time, there was a little bit of Brazilian, which has grown exponentially expanded. I mean, there's a lot of Brazilian stuff here now. And do you get involved with Brazilian music?
Boy, I don't know if I really got into it, that authentically. I listened to a lot of it, and I played a lot of those songs,
Yeah.
But as far as it's like on the last quartet record I did with Peter Erskine, and I said, this is kind of a Latin thing or a Brazilian thing, and he says, well, I really can't play Latin music, I just do my own thing. And I was like, what are you talking about? You're like the greatest drummer in the world. He says, I really can't play Latin very well. So if you want Latin, you really got to get a Brazilian guy if you really want the real thing. So and I sort of agree with that in a way. There are people that go 100% into a style and really nail it, and there's a lot of styles like that I've sort of, I sort of know, in passing.
Yeah.
And I play the music, but I'm not an authentic Brazilian. I should be, with a last name like Brasel. Come to think of it.
Well, I talked to Jovino Santos yesterday, who is just an amazing human and great pianist. And he started playing with Hermeto Pascoal.
Wow.
He was 23 for 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And he what they used to do when they weren't working, 5 days a week, at least 6 hours a day, they got together and rehearsed.
Whoa.
For 15 years.
That's amazing. Wow. For 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
that's smart.
Yeah. But anyway, he said, because I told him, he and I were at a jazz camp together, and it was really great because you'd come back from dinner or whatever, watching a movie or something, and then in the middle of the woods, because it was at the YMCA camp, he would be leading a jam.
Oh yeah.
In the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
I always thought, well, I don't know any Brazilian stuff, and he said, it was great actually, because he removed my intimidation. He said, like his band that I was watching, there's no Brazilians in the band.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah. And he said, everything is mixed. He said, even in Brazil, we have all these influences, India and Africa. There's, it's a mixture. So he said, you don't have to be a Brazilian, or you don't have to play the authentic Brazilian style.
No.
Unless you're doing some kind of folk music.
Right.
You probably would want to, but otherwise, it's all, joining together. Yeah. So that was nice, because like I said, he removed some intimidation for me.
Yeah. Because that's basically what was happening in LA too, is it was never that authentic. It was always a mix, and Brazilians were coming up and learning what the LA guys were doing, and it ended up being a mix of that too. So that was typical. Yeah. But it's kind of, it was a kind of an eye opener for me. We went down to Tanzania some years ago, and we made a record with Tanzanian musicians, and some of those jam sessions were really interesting because you realize, culturally you there was so little you knew about the whole background of the whole system that they use, to make music there, and all these different rhythmic devices and things like this. But right in the middle of it, you found things that were instantly recognizable at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was really easy to play with them. Yeah. And it was, you reacted to the things that you recognized, and it worked fine. it was loads of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's always a good experience, I think, going to a culture that is really different than your own, and then seeing what about it you recognize as something you use all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yesterday I was on a Zoom with some people, some artistic people. We meet, and talk and stuff. But they showed a I wish I had it, but I don't see, I thought I had saved it. Anyway, it was in Africa and it was at the post office.
oh yeah.
And the guy was stamping letters. He had like a whole bunch of letters, kind of on a kind of on
Yeah.
a, and he would take a letter and he would stamp it and then push it down. Unbelievable. This guy was like, had some kind of a rhythm, like boom, bang, boom, boom, bang, boom. And it was constant. And then all of a sudden, everybody, all the workers started singing a song.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it was wild. It was great,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, music really is a really easy way to communicate with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was beautiful too in Tanzania too, and I guess Africa in general, is that their concept of music was always it just didn't mean playing an instrument. It meant singing and it meant dancing.
Yeah.
If you were a musician, you were expected that you did all those things.
Yeah.
Like, and I had become so compartmentalized. This is the one thing I do. I play this instrument and I play it in this style, But over there, it's like, no, if you play the drum, you can sing and you can dance and everything. And it was all connected. And it just made a little more sense. It seemed like culturally, and also, I mean, that you didn't sort of exclude things that could very well be part of what you do,
Yeah. Well, another thing about this African thing, my girlfriend has spent a lot of time in Senegal, and she's a dancer and a singer too, and she's made music there, a lot of music. Yeah. But she said yesterday that the Africans spiritually, they look at their body differently than we do.
Oh,
They
yeah.
look at it as that it's a vehicle to get to God.
Yeah.
So, they love their body, right?
Yeah.
So they do things with their body. Everything they do is actually part of the action to go to God, which is wonderful. I mean, wow, I wish I was brought up like that,
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's typical of our culture that we do compartmentalize things. We really study the particulars to an incredible extent, and and you develop a depth in a certain way to certain things, but maybe you lose track of the whole picture, maybe, which is a shame, because you'd probably enjoy things a lot more if you realize you're part of this whole big thing, right? Not just the small part of it.
Yeah, I agree. I have a friend here who's a guitarist at North Texas State. His name is Taylor Hatch. So he's curious about how you've shaped your pedagogy on the instrument. Was there one teacher that influenced you to model your style of teaching?
Yeah, that's interesting. I had some really great teachers. I mean, I studied with Ted. I studied with Jimmy Weibel and with Pat Martino, and I studied with a vibes player called Charlie Shoemake in LA.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the things I learned from those guys and the way I learned them sort of affected the way I teach. I mean, the book that I wrote is a good example of what I teach. It's based on, working on examples, sort of mimicking, the things in them, and then using them to create, your own music. So it's like what I was doing with Charlie Shoemake. We were playing transcriptions and stuff. I was playing, transcriptions of Sonny Rollins and stuff, and that stuff ends up getting into your music at some point. First you just try to play the solo, and you try to come close to the way Sonny played it, but at some point the essence of what he did gets into what you do. And I think that's the main thing that you strive for, is that you can start to create with the logic and the sort of sense that those great improvisers use when they improvise. It's way past the notes and all the phrases and everything like that. It's sort of getting into the whole head of that person and how they create melodies and stuff. So it goes to, I think if you really study it and really work at it, it gets really deep into you, and it comes out in really beautiful ways, but it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to internalize that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think all instruments, I think if you're a good instrumentalist, you do this, but I think guitar especially, you investigate the instrument and you find things that you feel connected to, and then you bring them into your music and express.
Right.
But I think guitar is, an amazing instrument. I really do. And it always makes me laugh when I see two old guitar players coming together and saying, "Look at the voicing I just found."
Yeah.
I always think, you've been playing 60 years. You just found a new voicing?
Yeah. Now it's, look at the voicing I can still play. That's the new one.
Oh, God. Speaking of older guitar players, I've been wanting to get John Pisano on here, but, he's...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if he's, really in with the Zoom thing and stuff, but he's finally slowed down a little, especially because of the pandemic. But up to the pandemic, he was still doing his guitar night.
Yeah, that sounded like that was a great thing. Yeah. And isn't he teaching at Cal St. Northridge too, or did he retire from that?
He's retired.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, he's older.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's in his 80s. Let's see. He was 10 years older than Barry Zweig. So he's definitely in his 80s.
Yeah, okay. He's retired probably.
Yeah.
But see, that's just a genius thing that he was doing, because a lot of those guys were professionals anyways, but when you think about teaching, to go on stage with a real seasoned professional and play with them is a lesson that you can't verbalize so much, but it's something that stays with you for your whole life, really. If something happens on the stage, they're just being next to them and being a part of that. Yeah, I think that's some of the strongest education you can get, is just getting on stage with some really great musicians.
Absolutely. Yeah. By the way, I Googled it, and John's 90.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
He's up there.
Yeah.
Very cute.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Taylor. Yeah. Oh, really, Taylor? Charlie Shoemake is Taylor's teacher.
Yeah, Charlie's still teaching. Yeah, Charlie's great. He's the greatest.
Wow, that's cool, man.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Charlie was such a great teacher, and really, he really required a lot of you. I had I remember this one morning I had worked. What was it? I had worked so hard on this transcription, and I was late for my lesson, and I was speeding down some street in the valley there, and a cop pulls me over and says, "You're speeding." I said, "I got to get to my lesson. I've worked so hard on this transcription." And he looks at me and he just goes, "Oh," he felt so sorry for me. He goes, "Okay, go," he says. because Charlie would, if you weren't prepared and you showed up, he'd just, you had to pay him anyways.
Yeah.
And you didn't have a lot of money. You were a student, and so those were lessons that you took very seriously. Yeah, and for good result too. I think he had some really great students. So
That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, Charlie was great. Really great teacher.
Okay, I want to hear some more of Wayne Brasel. So let's see.
Yeah, go back to that same page, that Facebook page, because those recent ones are.
Okay.
I mean, I really want to hear you and Bob R, but I don't know where that is. I have to send it to you. We were doing "Consider Me Gone." It's really a nice recording.
Oh, that'd be fun to hear that. Okay,
I'll
wait.
send it. Yeah.
Wait. Why? Darn. Is this your page? Oh, yeah. Gosh. I'm missing your. I had typed it in.
Yeah.
And this is what came up. Wouldn't your page just come up?
You'd think. Yeah, you'd think so. Huh. That's probably the same clip, probably. Yeah.
But that's not. I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to find you. Here, I'll put Wayne Brasel.
I've got Total Just
guitarist. And let's see about this.
That looks good.
There we go. Interesting.
Go.
I think I liked you. Let's see. Nope. Okay. I liked you already. Okay. So, so down here somewhere.
Yeah, there's probably some other ones from that same gig.
And, or this is.
Yeah, try that one.
Is this actually a music?
Oh, no, that's not a recording. That's just a picture.
Oh, okay.
I do have a recording of that, but that's Patitucci and Brian Blade and me. Oh, that was great.
Oh, wow.
That was really nice. But that's just a photograph. Yeah.
Okay.
How fun.
Here's one. Oh, that was 2019 though.
I'm not sure what that is. I'd go back to that other place where you were before. I think there was another one from that same night. Let me see.
Yeah. There's this one and this one. It says one more. And this is another clip.
Okay. Try another clip.
Okay. beautiful.
Yeah. New tunes. That's on the new CD.
Oh, cool.
So
What's the new CD? Tell us about that.
well, it's it was kind of strange. The idea was to go down to Paris and play some gigs and then go into the recording studio. And there was just a bunch of things that happened that made the whole trip sort of distracting. Jeff's he set the gigs up and everything, but then there was his brother had died just the week before, and he had to go back to New Orleans, and so he had to miss the first two gigs. And on the second gig, I got food poisoning, and I was playing the gig, but I was running back and forth from the stage to the restroom during the gig, and then like Jeff came back, and then we did another gig, and then we went into the studio. So it was like it wasn't optimal, the whole deal, but we got some good recordings, and so I'm sort of finishing up now up here in my own studio, trying to salvage what we can, and then maybe redoing some things. But it's nice. The music's nice, and Jeff is playing really good, and Norvald's playing really good. So should be a nice CD.
That's cool.
Yeah.
My friend was putting up all music, your credits and your discography and stuff. How many records have you done?
Oh, yeah. I've done about 8, I guess. Let's see. I've done these 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I've done 2, 3 more after that. So 8. Yeah. Yeah, 8.
Yeah.
And then I'm on some of my tunes are on some other sampler CDs. There's like a Beatles sampler CD that came out in Germany some years ago, and some of my Beatles tunes are on there.
Cool.
So, or my Beatles tunes, my arrangements of Beatles tunes, I should say.
Do you play in other people's bands? Would you be on their records too, or?
I haven't done that much sideband stuff since I started doing my own thing. I did a couple records with a bass player named Wayne Darling. I don't know if you've ever met Wayne.
Yeah, Darling. Yeah.
We had a band together with a drummer named Alan Jones from Portland.
Yeah.
You know Alan? Yeah. So we did a couple of records in when we were living in Austria, and those are really nice. Yeah. But no, not so much. Not that I can think of that. Not that much other sort of sideman stuff, because it's between the teaching and doing my own thing. It's
a lot.
It's enough. Yeah. It's enough, because if you want to play your own music at a level that you really want to play it, then it's going to take some time to put in the work. So you're able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what that is. When you get to a certain level and you just want to sustain that.
Yeah.
And if it starts to change, you're not happy with that, and you want to get back to that where you were. So, yeah. and after so many years what it takes to get up to that level. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and then you still have to keep working at it too.
Yeah.
One thing that's been interesting lately, and I think it's a mixture of reaching a certain point, on my path, and the pandemic too.
Yeah.
Because we were so taken out of action.
Right.
Once we came back in,
I
really felt different when I was singing, and I felt the audience was right with me too. It was a very interesting feeling. But the music, there's some other awareness that I have. It's kind of hard to put into words, but it's some other awareness that happened in the last, year or so, half a year. Which is cool. I mean, it's all, we're going to be doing this forever, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's probably if you used to be out there playing all the time and then you take a year off or something like that, it's always probably different going back to it again after that time off.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
just think
it's
too, the pandemic, put everybody through such trips.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
And because this thing about the audience being with me, it's
yeah,
like they're in a different space too. I can
yeah.
feel.
That's I've heard that a lot. That and it's always funny because you don't, as a performer, you don't always get how the audience hears you or experiences you, and it's always interesting to talk to them afterwards and find out what they experience, because sometimes it's mind blowing to hear what they heard,
Yeah.
to hear what it felt like to them, and think, wow, really? That's interesting. I didn't hear anything like that. And yeah, wow, what happened out here? And I think I've been hearing that too, that when people are starting to be able to go to live music again, it's so enjoyable, I guess, after not being able to go out. So
Yeah.
it's
It's
probably
interesting.
yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I've been playing. So I've been fortunate to play with and record with Larry Kuntz
Oh
and
yeah,
Anthony
right.
Wilson.
Yeah. Great.
Oh man,
Amazing.
it's been really fun. I mean,
Yeah.
those guys are I just love to hear them. They change
Yeah.
my DNA when I listen to them, It's
Yeah.
just really so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Masters. Both those guys. Larry amazingly put out this record of Jimmy Weibel pieces.
Oh yeah,
I don't know
right.
if you ever heard that, but
Yeah, I didn't hear that record, but I have heard a
yeah,
song that or maybe it was Jamie Finley actually. Oh,
yeah,
no, Jamie Finley wrote a beautiful song dedicated to
yeah.
the Bible.
Dedicated. Yeah. I mean, I've got a bunch of pieces that were basically a result of a Jimmy Weibel exercise. And they turn into beautiful tunes, somehow, just working on these things over and over, and then suddenly you see, it can go a different way. But Larry really nailed some of those etudes that Jimmy wrote, and
Oh,
they're so interesting.
is it what? Do you know the name of it?
Yeah. What's the name of the record? I mean, if you search like Jimmy Weibel etudes,
Etudes.
um,
All right, or I'll ask Larry.
or I'll ask Larry,
Yeah.
because yeah, he nails those things, and it's not easy to do, and there were so few chances to hear actually Jimmy play them, because by the time he went out and played them, he was so old that he was, he's still playing, but he wasn't playing them as he would have maybe if he was, in his 30s or something.
Yeah.
And Larry plays them great. So that was great work he did. I'm
Yeah.
always impressed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. One
Yeah.
time I did a gig with Larry and his father, Dave,
Yeah.
and
Right.
they were from the same universe.
Yeah.
It was so interesting. What a great gig.
Yeah.
I sometimes I put weird bands together, two guitar players,
Yeah.
trumpet and drums,
That's right. That's right.
Do you still practice? Like practice?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
What's your practice routine? I know Taylor's going to ask me that, so I might as well get a jump on it.
I have a lot of basic things that I do, really basic stuff, with scales and intervals and triads, arpeggios and stuff. The same stuff I've been doing for 30 years, and I use those both as warm-ups and as ways to sort of build vocabulary. And besides that, I do keep up a fair amount of transcriptions that I work with the students, and so I'll play through transcriptions, from Wes Montgomery or from Clifford Brown, different people, things that I've learned before, and just play through them, just to keep them under my fingers, sort of. I do a bit of just keeping certain repertoire of standards that I play through all the time, just so I can, go do 2 sets, 3 sets where I don't have to look at a book and just play the tunes I know, sort of. And then I spend a lot of time just playing, working on my own music and developing different ways to play it. Playing it as solo guitar, playing it as a part of a quartet, and working on different arrangements. Sometimes you write something and you go out and play it, but that there's that one little section where it's not quite right, and at some point it comes to you and you realize what the right way to do that was, and then you finally fix it. It's funny, yeah. But and then I actually play maybe an hour of classical music every time I sit down to play.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I usually start with that, playing Renaissance, and then Bach, and then Leo Brouwer, the Brazilian composer.
Oh,
so, which is stuff that I did in school.
yeah.
But it's nice to keep it up. It's nice to have it under your fingers, and it's beautiful music.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, there's just it's like not really enough hours in the day.
No, I know.
Everything.
I know.
I keep, and I know. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about my practicing. It's very interesting.
But it's important. It's important because there's like I was back in California in the summer, and I was visiting my parents. They're quite old, and I didn't have so much time to practice. And when I got back here, I sort of had to start over and build things up again. So it's really important to have a routine that works.
Yeah.
It can get you back up to that level you want to be at. So
yeah,
because it can kind of fade away sometimes.
well, yeah, that's the thing. It can just go away, like a day or a week, or it's like you have to kind of do some work to get back to where you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's really interesting. Taylor said something. Oh, yeah, he loves Julian Lage.
Yeah, Julian's amazing.
Yeah, and he said something that he got from studying with him was working on phrasing in a way that shapes a narrative. He would work with this on me playing a blues. Hard to explain over chat, but it was moving.
Yeah. That's super important. I mean, if you're going to tell a story, then you have to start somewhere. You have to start, and you have to go somewhere from that phrase. It's got to be, you got to take that phrase and take it somewhere. And then it's interesting.
Yeah, and then take that phrase and take it somewhere.
Yeah.
I tell my students to think horizontally.
Yeah.
Not just like, here's a good idea, and here's a good idea, and here's a you have to actually connect them. And one time I heard, I don't know, I never kind of researched this more, but I heard Keith Jarrett in Japan, Jack DeJohnette, and his bass player who died. I forget his name.
Gary Peacock.
Yeah, Gary Peacock. And Keith just blew my mind because his solos were like he would play a motif, then he'd take from that motif and play a new motif from that, and a new one, and that, and a new one. So he was the whole entire solo. I mean, you have to imagine how many years you have to practice to be artful at that,
Right. Yeah. That's really true. And to hold that same, like to stay in the zone. For me, that's the whole question there. I mean, if you've done the homework and you know your way around where you're going, you don't have to think about that. But then after that, it's really committing to that and staying in that zone and following it where it's taking you. Then you go back and listen afterwards and you say, "Oh, that was nice. That was interesting where that went," because you believed, enough in what you were doing that you were going to follow it and see where it went.
Yeah.
And And sometimes, it takes you funny places. But in the end, it all, I think it rings true because it makes sense. I used to listen to that St. Thomas solo from Sonny Rollins, and he just plays chorus after chorus on this really simple tune. It just never got boring, and it all made sense. And I just I think everyone should aspire to that, just that sort of logic and creativity, at that level. I think is the really the goal.
Yeah.
So much music he made, on something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I remember when I was, a growing young person, and I realized that I could solo on things, but I couldn't solo on a blues.
Yeah.
That was so weird. It was like,
That's weird. Yeah.
yeah, and because I wasn't really familiar with blues.
Yeah.
That's basically it,
Right.
But it's kind of a strange, you're coming from that side as opposed to being able to solo on a blues and not being able to solo on the more progressive stuff,
Right.
But
Right.
I guess it was just because of what I had listened to growing up and sang, But yeah,
Yeah. I think it's a process of hearing that stuff in the context of that, like to to play a blues very modally, and then to play a blues very, horizontally too, to be comfortable going back and forth, and to use the same, using a blues approach over a standard or over a more complicated tune, being able to switch back and forth and use both of those approaches, on both things. I think that's a real art,
I
to do
do.
that. Yeah. Sounds like he's playing a blues, but he's playing giant steps, but it sounds like he's playing a blues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a friend. That reminds me. He might be listening. Alan Walker, who's a sax player, and he's from Roanoke, Virginia, originally, and he played
Oh
in
yeah.
D.C. a lot. But when you hear him play, that's actually what you hear. You hear somebody coming from, because he was in bands that backed up, R&B people and blues
Right.
people and stuff. But he's really a jazz guy too.
Yeah.
And so it's really nice. It's beautiful. It's very soulful.
Yeah.
And actually, Anthony Wilson has that too. That's one
Yeah.
reason I like his playing so much, is because he has this soulful thing that he's coming from,
Yeah.
and it's just great to listen to.
Yeah. Yeah. He's playing amazing. Yeah.
His mother, his dad, of course, was
Yeah.
Gerald Wilson, but his mother brought him up on Laurel Canyon Boulevard.
Yeah.
And she
Great.
was playing all the old rock and R&B stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Grew up with that kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
let's see. Do you think any records particularly are, this is kind of from left field, overrated or underrated? Any jazz record?
Oh, jazz records.
Yeah.
Wow.
mean-
Overrated or underrated?
Or, not doesn't have to be jazz either, but I don't even know the answer to that question. I don't know what my answer would be. Underrated. I guess I could come up with more underrated than overrated.
Probably, yeah. Who am I to say? I don't know. I just know there's a ton of great records out there.
I know.
There's a history of just amazing records to listen to. So, yeah, are they overrated? I don't know.
Are there any European artists that you think that we may not know here so much in the States?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, most of the guys that I heard about before I got here were all the ECM guys that probably everyone knows about, Jan Gabark and Arnold Anderson, and that was sort of the ECM sound, from the north here, and those are still some of the guys that are doing a lot of the
the gigs, even though they've got generations of people that came after them that are really great players too. But not so many of them, rise to the same. No, they're not as well known as those guys got to be.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if you would know. Yeah. I don't know if you would know a lot of the other players around here.
Yeah.
So there's some great ones. There's some really great young players. In Denmark and in Sweden and in Norway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marius Nesset, he's a really new young guy. I don't know if you've heard him. He's pretty amazing.
What is his last name?
He plays tenor. Nesset, I think Neset, maybe.
Oh, okay. He's a tenor.
Yeah, he plays tenor. Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me want to come and hang out over there and play and listen. And
yeah, I've got a regular gig now every Thursday night, so I'm ready for you. I'll bring a mic.
Okay. I would like to, as a bucket list thing, I would like to, hang out for 6 months or something in Europe and just go around and make some music and drink coffees and
yeah. Yeah, there are some nice clubs in most of the major towns around here, so you could probably hear some good music.
Yeah.
But I mean, probably the best clubs are in Oslo, of course, like in Stockholm and in Copenhagen too.
Yeah.
So.
Do they have old clubs there still, like that have been around?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think they do have quite a few that have been around a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the one in Copenhagen was, what was that? The one that Dexter used to always play at? Forget what it was called. Yeah. There's some records that he did from there.
Yeah. Right.
So.
Well, yeah. LA has changed so much over the years, because I've been here, since the 70s. So
yeah.
40 years or something. And, when I first came here, I worked at Dante's for a year and a half.
Oh, really?
As a waitress, yeah. And
as a waitress.
Yeah. So I met a lot of musicians there.
Yeah, everybody was playing there.
Actually, I met Ted Green there.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, and that was a real particular kind of style for the most part. It was straight ahead, no matter who it was.
Yeah.
And then as the years went on, then we started getting into original music.
Yeah.
And I think, ECM, had definitely, the 70s were like a kind of an explosion for ECM, right?
Yeah.
And Weather Report and so a little bit more modern stuff. Actually, I interviewed Flora Purim, and I didn't really realize until I spoke to her that she actually was a leader for jazz vocalists. Because for her, we didn't hear a lot of modern singers.
No, that's right.
So, but anyway, so in LA, so it went through the kind of original stuff, and then I would say like Brazilian kind of really got into the LA culture, and then so the Blue Whale, which you know about.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so the Blue Whale, and also Rocco's. Rocco's was actually like the Blue Whale first. It was actually now where Herb Alpert's vibrato is. And so that place really was the only place in LA that had modern jazz.
Yeah.
And so he had, a run, and then he, sold it to Herb Alpert. And then the Blue Whale appeared, and actually Rocco even helped June, the owner of the Blue Whale, in development of the Blue Whale. So when the Blue Whale started, especially, Rocco was a little early in that whole kind of movement, but people like Peter Erskine were playing there.
Yeah.
And
Right.
yeah, so then after that and into the Blue Whale period, then you really saw, it's probably partly because of the age of people too, right?
Yeah.
So the young people who were coming out of college and playing, they were jumping into new music and mixing rock and
Yeah.
whatever, you know. And so I would say that now we're kind of in a good strong stride of that music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's always the side things, which to me it's like the abstract, the avant-garde is kind of a side thing.
Right.
Do you remember Brad Dutz?
Yeah.
So Brad had a series going in this funky little art space,
Yeah.
and like every whatever it was, Tuesday or Thursday, and he had like all these amazing avant-garde people in there.
Yeah.
It was very trippy and wonderful.
Yeah.
But there's not, like, I remember once going to the Blue Whale when this guy, I can't remember his name. He's a great avant-garde bass player from San Diego. And he was there, and the place was packed, and I knew nobody in the audience.
Yeah.
And except for Brad.
Yeah.
And I said, what? I don't even get it. I don't know anybody here. And he said, yeah, this has a whole community in itself, you know?
Wow.
And so there's that. And then
That's
there's
great.
still the straight ahead community, but it's smaller because for the most part, it's really more modern jazz guys,
Yeah.
you know, and that's really and like what I said, it's kind of in its stride. It's in its major kind of movement.
Right.
And a lot of people from New York are actually moving here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild. Huh.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
Wow. Huh.
So, I mean, I don't know what, you know, the pandemic, of course, changes everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I can see that there will be more and more places that will get started and expand, you know, the roster. I mean, there really is an embarrassment of riches of players here. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. But there's always been that. Yeah.
Yeah, but now even, you know, like with the young people coming up to the age where they're going out and playing and these people moving here from New York, it's like almost any night of the week you can go and find somebody really outrageously good.
Yeah.
I
remember.
Oh God, there's a series that a jazz DJ does, Leroy Downs, and I'm sure Guitar Center in Hollywood was always in the same location, but anyway, they're opposite of Guitar Center. There's a photography gallery.
Okay.
It's called Mr. Music Head, and it's photographs of music, events or people, and also some musicians who have photographed, you know, and done art. So Leroy has this Wednesday night series in there that is really cool. It's a very cool space, and they have a great piano, and and I think they've been expanding to like to another night in even a different location. But so he has really great taste. He's really tied in with that whole genre of music that's somewhere between straight ahead and modern, you know. It's really nice.
Huh.
So that's what's happening now, you know.
Yeah, there were so many. I think about all the different clubs there were in LA at that time.
Yeah.
And all kinds of different music too. Dante's, and then the Baked Potato, and then all those clubs by the beach, you know, all those different places.
Yeah.
You know, what was they called? The Studio Cafe down in
the Studio Cafe in Newport. And then there was the Come Back In
Come Back In, right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of places.
Yeah, we had a lot of places. The White House in Laguna Beach. I mean, there was a lot of places that you could go and do your thing, you know?
Yeah.
Work. Yeah, it's great.
And it was all kinds of different music too.
Yeah.
So because it's hard to think of, like if clubs were so stylistically, exclusive in those days. It seemed like it was. If you look at the, if you look at the calendar for that month, the bands that were playing that were so different.
Yeah.
One night to the
Yeah.
next.
Really different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably have some of those, I'm sure.
You. Let's see. We have a few other comments. Let's see. Yeah, Taylor's saying one of his emeritus professors at UNT is Fred Hamilton, who did a lot of work on the Bach sonatas and partitas.
Oh yeah.
And I guess he says Jim Hall felt the same way as well.
Yeah.
And Roland said he's curious if you're familiar with Will Brahm. He's a young guitar player who's here. You would like Will Brahm.
It sounds vaguely familiar, but I can't say for sure that I've heard him.
I'll send you a link to. He also did a group with three guitar players: himself, John Story, and Dan or Roland. Send me the other guy's name. But it's called New Guitar West, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And really good. We went actually. Cool. The three of us were at the same concert about a month ago where they were playing.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. I'm going to send you a link to that.
Wow. Okay.
Really, really good.
That's something you don't really hear that often is, like 4 guitar players together.
Yeah.
Doing something interesting. There was, when I was growing up, there was that band, who was it? It was like Barney Kessel and
oh yeah,
Charlie Bird and Herb Ellis, I think.
Yeah.
Great guitars, yeah. And sometimes it was Joe Pass with him. And they were doing that thing and it was exciting at the time, but these days it's not a format that you see that often. And it could be interesting.
This is really great. And these guys are telling me the third guy is Perry Smith.
Okay.
Real interesting player.
Yeah.
Definitely with other influences. And you'll like this group. I'll definitely send a link to them. I think they also have a podcast. Yeah, they do. And they actually, after the concert I saw them play, Will told me that they had interviewed Joe DiOrio, who's a friend of mine. Yeah. So I listened to the podcast all the way home, like from Long Beach to Granada Hills. And it was great. Oh God, it was so much fun to hear because, it's guitar players talking to guitar players. So it was great. Joe DiOrio is such a cool guy.
That could be better, yeah.
So, well, guess what? It's been 2 hours.
No way. That means it's 11 o'clock here. Oh, I got to go to bed.
God, it's so fun to talk to you, man.
Yeah, we really should get together sometime if we can work it out somehow.
Yeah, we really should.
Actually, I'll probably be out there in July in the summer, so I'll keep in touch. Yeah.
Cool. Well, if you are, let me know ahead of time, and I'll make a gig.
We're making plans now for, so I should know probably in a couple months when I'm going to be there. But it's like probably the middle months, the middle weeks of July somewhere.
Okay.
So we'll see. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And then you got to come out here because
I'm going to.
It's funny. I when I look at you, I think you were here, weren't you? Here once, but then I must be thinking of Vienna. That's weird.
I don't think I was. Wait a minute. Oh no, I was in. I don't think. Let's see. I was either in Oslo or Copenhagen once, I think.
And we were going to try to get together and do something. That's right.
Or was I in Finland? No, maybe it was Helsinki.
Yeah, and we were talking about you stopping over here or something, but I wasn't able to work it out. Yeah.
Oh, that was a little while ago, though. That was. Yeah. But no, I mean, back in the old days, I went to Helsinki. But I don't even know if you were there yet.
No, maybe not.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, there's no reason why I shouldn't. And, my husband almost went to Italy with me, but he got major sciatica, which it was the only time he's ever gotten sciatica.
Oh, what a drag. So
I ended up going alone anyway because I had already gigs, and so unfortunately it wasn't the romantic getaway.
No. Oh, wow. That's funny that you went anyways. Sorry about your back. I'm going to Italy.
That was basically it. That is so me. You'll be okay, honey.
I'll take some snaps. That's funny. Yeah.
God, when I first got married to Gary 20 years ago, there was many times he'd say, you're not single anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Gus, my first husband, I was like a single person, like I went out whenever and worked.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Anyway.
Okay.
So great to talk to you.
Yeah, you too.
To Meta. And and we have to talk again. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we can do something like, send me something and then I'll sing on it and send it back. That would be really fun too.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Oh. Yeah. Okay, great.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, Wayne Brasel. Yay. And you may leave and I'm going to tell the people about the rest of the week.
Okay.
So you probably don't,
I'll push the little leave button then. Let me see.
Good night. Have a good sleep.
Okay, thanks, Cathy.
Bye, Wayne.
I can get my unconnected. 1, 2, 3.
He's looking for the leave.
Bye.
Bye. Wayne Brasel. Oh man, that was so good to connect with him again. God, it's just amazing. When you have a life like this, that you've been a professional musician for years and years and years and years, and you can't help have a lot of friends that you go out of touch with, but it's funny. It's just, isn't it interesting how when you have a relationship with somebody and you can go away for years, and then when you come back to it, it's the same relationship. And that overlaps into the music too, like how we make music together. It's the same thing. So yeah, I'm really, it just made my whole day. Tomorrow I have another live guest, Clee Thompson, and she's got a face that you will remember from seeing in acting, but she's also a really good jazz singer. I booked her at Bar Fedora when I was doing that series downtown at Bar Fedora. Really good. And then Thursday through Sunday, I post from my archives, which is good because tomorrow I have an interview on neon jazz, which is it's a podcast from the middle of the country. So tomorrow, Victor Orlando, who was the percussionist with Santana, amongst lots of other people, and he's a sweetheart, really nice guy and cool, and he's a wonderful conga player. It's one of the only conga players I've ever heard play swing well. Many times it's just ding 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 ding, and it just doesn't sound right. But he has a really great groove that really sounds good. Oh, thanks, Dan. Then Friday, really interesting career, a drummer named Bill Goodwin, whose father, he grew up here in Toluca Lake, which is an area that like people like Bob Hope lived and people like that. And so his father, I can't remember, his father, I think he had a radio show. I can't remember now because it's been a while. Bill Goodwin was from just about a year ago. So anyway, but he's a drummer and he's played with a lot of big jazz people. Saturday, my dear friend, Paulinho Garcia, Brazilian guitarist and singer, beautiful sound, really beautiful singer. And he spent a lot of time in Chicago, years, and then he moved to LA. So that's Saturday. And Sunday, a singer named Roberta Donné, who has a real interesting back to the 20s type of group. She does this whole show and persona, and it's real interesting. She's also a composer, and she wrote a song kind of like a We Are the World song. So that is her. If you're in LA, Sunday, there's probably still tickets left. The LA Athletics Club and Dave Ross's Jazz Salon are Sunday during the day have created a gig for the fantastic Mary Stallings, who is coming down from San Francisco, and she sang with Basie's band a long time, and she really is out of the Ella and Sarah and Carmen genre, but she doesn't copy them. She's her own person. If she had continued, like, I think she raised a family and kind of got out of the constant career action, but she's really a wonderful singer. So if you're interested in that, you can go to David Ross Jazz Salon, find it on the web. Next week, the live people are Lorraine Feather, who is Leonard Feather's daughter. Leonard Feather was one of the main critics of jazz. And Lorraine is a really, really talented writer and singer, super talented, very successful. And Bob Bowman, wonderful bass player, who was here a few months ago, and we got to play together. And he played with Carmen McRae for a long time. He lives in like Wyoming or Montana. And then wonderful drummer here in LA on the modern side of the genre, Chris Blondal. And he's really wonderful, very entertaining to talk to. So that's what's happening, you guys. And if you want to know who's coming, you can go to my website and look at it, CathySegal-Garcia.com, and also there are archives there too as well. So you can do that. And I think I'm going to, on the way out, I will play for you one of my songs from my latest record, and that's called Social Anthems. It just came out. And yeah, and I also, on this particular song, it's called And So It Goes. It's a Billy Joel song. And I have guesting on it Paul Jost, the great jazz singer from the East Coast. And I also made a music video. I hope you like it. And I'm going to share it with you right now on the way out here. It's one of the very quiet ones on the record.
To heal the wounds from lovers past, until a new one comes along.
I spoke to you in cautious tones. You answered me with no pretense. And still, I feel I said too much. My silence is my self-defense. And every time I've held a rose,
it seems I only felt the thorns,
and so it goes.
and so it goes, and so it goes,
And so it goes.
and so will you soon,
And so will you.
I suppose.
I suppose. But if my silence made you leave, then that would be my worst mistake. So I will share this room with you. And you can have this heart to break.
And this is why my eyes are closed. It's just as well for all I've seen.
And so it goes.
And so it goes, and so it goes,
So it goes.
and you're the only one who knows.
So I would choose to be with you. That's if the choice were mine to make.
But you can make decisions too, and you can have this heart to break.
And so it goes.
And so it goes, and so it goes.
And you're the only one who knows.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of the song. Okay, whoa, I have to cancel this. I have to stop it. Anyway, that's from my new record, Social Anthems. So thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for hanging out. And I see all your comments. I'm going to answer some of them too. Thank you. Have a great day. Thanks a lot for being here. Bye.